So my name is Yadi, and this is
I'm
Jack.
Jack Tymann.
So we're here today at Arts and Eats. We're having a book signing and a Meet the Author event today. So Jack, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, sure. First of all, I'm old, which means I've had an incredible journey. I'm 82, right? So this book is about a journey of a man that age, and over the course of my life, I've just been very, very blessed. I've done business and traveled in 75 countries with my wife, and um, I learned a great deal of lessons during that time period. And my purpose in writing this book is to kind of share these lessons in a fun and entertaining way. Not an autobiography and not a memoirs, but maybe a memoirs masquerading as fantasy
Yeah,
fiction 7,000 years from now.
perfect.
That way, and of course it's not purely autobiographical. It's exaggerated and made more exciting, and like conflict's been added and so forth and so on, but embedded throughout the whole book. This is my book. Embedded throughout the whole book are the lessons learned on that journey.
Great. And now, just so that the audience gets to know you a little bit, are you here local to Southwest Florida?
Yeah, I've been a resident of Naples for almost 30 years.
30 years. Where did you live before, or where are you from originally?
This is my this is my 23rd address.
20 address.
I've lived around the world. I've traveled the world, lived around the world.
It's so great. I mean, I imagine as someone that has traveled a lot, you get a lot of inspiration as well
Oh my
as a
God!
writer.
The people you meet, the exciting people, and again,
Mhm.
the lessons you learn from different culture, and maybe the ultimate lesson, which is one of the themes of the book, is we're all different, but we're all the same. So as I travel around the world, there are people of different, you know, different cultures, different races, different backgrounds, certainly different religions and so forth. We're pretty much all the same if we just focus on what we agree upon rather than always fighting with each other.
That's
And that's what the book's
lovely.
about, how we can come together as a people.
Great. So, for those of you who are getting to know Jack, now tell us a little bit. Is this your first book that you published?
Yeah, first novel.
First
I've
novel?
been writing since seventh grade, believe it or not. But everything I wrote in those days, up until I wrote this novel, was what they call telling, like nonfiction. I wrote newspapers, periodicals. I, I edited columns and did op-eds and things like that. I wrote speeches in the halls of Congress. I served in Congress,
Yeah.
and I did a lot of business reports and proposals and executive summaries and speeches. And then when I decided I was going to try and get all that down and turn it into a novel, I said, "Oh my God, I'm really not a writer." So this is my debut novel. Uh, Writing a novel is a lot different than writing other things.
Yeah. Now, just so that the audience knows as well, can you tell us a little bit about what readers can expect when they purchase your book? Like, who is Adam? Who is this character? Can you tell us a little
Well,
bit about his
again,
journey?
the Adam starts out at the age of 20, and he's been kind of enslaved to a state of robots. This is 1,000 years from now. So Adam at the age of 20 has had no human conversations with anybody. That didn't happen in his homeland. He has no feelings, no emotions, and so forth. So he's like a blank sheet of paper at the age of 20, and he gets rescued by what was not called this in the book, by basically an angel. It takes him to a planet, the other end of the universe where he was, and he experiences life. And throughout this book, from the age of 20 to 50, experiencing things. We're going to call this one the man child. Even though he had a deficit in that kind of learning for the first 20 years of his life. So he travels, he meets people, much like I did throughout my life. That's why I could write a book like this. And through the course of these 30-year journeys, this is on 3 moons of the planet of called Dowland. Dowland is Tao, it's pronounced with the G. And the lessons he learns and the family he raises, and the girl he falls in love with, the wife he has, all of that is embedded in a journey that's chock loaded with lessons learned that I hope benefits some of my readers.
That's very interesting. Now, is this is going to be a trilogy, correct?
Yes, yes.
Perfect. So, keep that in mind when you purchase this book. This is going to be a continuing story as well. There's going to be two more that's going to be coming out as well.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Read this one. If you like it, buy the other two. Yeah, the other two are really more about Adam's life later on from the age of 50 to 70 and then 70 to 80. The final book, he's writing about his wife who's suffering from Alzheimer's. And I'm going to do that in a very uplifting, happy way, talking about love and what love is all about. Not a sad story about Alzheimer's, but about growing older and getting ready for whatever.
So that was actually going to be my next question, the inspiration behind this book. I'm sure that's probably a very common question that listeners get, but what kind of inspired you to come up with the story?
Inspiration behind a book originally. I started this book 35 years ago, believe it or not, and I could never finish it. I never had the time. I just didn't have the dedication. My inspiration was to leave a legacy for not only my kids and grandkids or great kids or whatever, but for any person, whether they be a young person graduating college or a person in the midlife crisis, a person retiring from a career saying, what's next? We all ask that question throughout our whole lives. So it's my inspiration was to share my life as I went through those various phases of life, answering the question, and then inspired by other great fantasy fictions like the Hobbit or the Hunger Games or Game of Thrones. I love that kind of book. So I'm writing a book where you embed the lessons in fantasy fiction.
Nice, perfect. Now, how long did it take you to write this first book?
Well, I put scraps in a box for 35 years like an artist. You may get an idea. But I really started writing this book 3 years ago. And it's a 3 year dedication. It's a long, hard journey to take scraps in a box and convert it into a fantasy fiction novel. It's a big novel. It's 104,000 words, almost 400 pages. So it's not a small novel. And it was a lot of work, but it was fun doing it. And now I'm thrilled to be here at a book signing my own book.
Yes, congratulations too.
Thank you for that, Yadi.
Now, something very common that writers especially experience is what we call writer's block. How did you handle that whenever you found yourself in blockage?
I don't use the term writer's block, but I know exactly what they're saying. In the course of writing something like this, you go through periods where you just say, you can call it writer's block, but you get discouraged that I can't get there. I can't get to the end line. This is too hard. I don't have the talent and so forth and so on. And the answer to that question, I'd say for every artist, I don't care what form of art you take, is you need people around you who believe in you, who encourage you, who give you constructive criticism. I just was surrounded by writing coaches and beta readers and friends that kept me going when I thought I just can't get through the slog of the middle of the book. The hard part, I kind of knew the beginning and the end, so it was a slog at times. But I also disciplined myself to spend 3 or 4 hours a day alone in a library or in a social or something where nobody else could bother me. And that if I wasn't in a creative mood, I just did some other parts of the work you have to do in writing a novel, organizing, coming up with a cover design. So you have to take a break once in a while, but you also have to dedicate to stick with it and believe you can get to the end.
That's very good. Thank you for that. Let's see, something else. If there is one thing that you want your readers to take away from this story, what do you hope that that will be?
In my 20s, one of my heroes at the time, and many of you are too young to even remember him, but his name was Bobby Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, John F. Kennedy's brother. And I watched him give a speech once, and I put the words that he used on a placard that I had in my office for 30 or 40 years. And basically what he said, and I think we all struggle today with there's some really bad things going on in the world today. People are sometimes down and depressed. Well, he said, some see things the way they are, and they ask why. He said, I dream dreams that never were, and ask why not. And that's been a motivator for my whole life. That don't get stuck in all the negativity. Look ahead and come up with a dream. Dream a dream that never existed and make it happen. And we can. All of us do that. So that's the message I would have for all people, wherever they are, maybe stuck in their lives, not knowing exactly what lays ahead, whether you're student or midlife crisis or somebody in retirement, there's something out there. You just got to find it and believe in it and then make it happen.
That's great. Thank you for that. Any final advice, maybe even for writers that are, like we're here at Arts and Eats, so this is a gallery.
What a great place.
Yes,
Oh my God.
place. We're surrounded by so much work from local artists. Do you have any final advice, whether it's for, someone that's starting, whether it's writing or just being creative,
Well,
right?
I mean, a painter, it doesn't matter what kind of art, you have to first of all believe in yourself, and it's very easy to get frustrated when you see a great artist or a great singer, or a great pianist, or a great writer, and say, "I can never do that." Don't. You're an individual. You have something inside of you, and that was given to you. It's a gift, and it's your journey in life is to share that with other people. So find something inside of you, and then just believe in yourself that you can get there. And the second part of that then is find help. Don't even though you got to lock yourself in the library to write a book. You also need to then reach out to critics and friends and coaches and help them get you through to the end line, because it's a long journey.
Who would you say was your biggest help or inspiration? See here,
Aisha.
Aisha. Can you tell us a little bit about Aisha and how she helped you?
Yes, that's kind of that's a story unto itself, and it's a story about what the world has become, how it has struggled. Aisha was one of my. I had a developmental editor. Her name is Kimberly Hunt. She was wonderful. For 15 months, she helped me take scraps and get them to a first manuscript, and then get some beta reads. And then she said, "Oh, we need another set of eyes and ears on this." And she said, I'm not even a fantasy writer myself." So she said, let's find somebody else. So she gave me 3 people. I tried them all through text message. I said, these aren't going to work. And I said, let me go back to this girl, Aisha. I didn't know who she was, nothing about her. And I said, I wrote to her and I said, Aisha, you did the best beta read, most constructive, helpful beta read of all the beta. Would you willing to do another beta read? She said, yeah, I love your book. I'll go. If it's been changed, I'd like to go through it again. And so she did a beta read in chapter 1, which I'd written like 5-10 times. She took it to another level.
Yeah.
Even though beta read is normally she just added things. And I called her and said, I texted her, I said, would you do a developmental edit? I don't know. A lot of people don't know that term, but it really means 3 or 4 or 5, 6 month journey of going into every chapter, every character, to figure out why they're in that book. And so that's where I went with each. And then there's the interesting thing of the story. It was about a month into that process. I said, I've never met you. Let's do a Zoom. And she said, what time? I said, how about 10 in the morning tomorrow? She said, oh, good, because that's before I go to bed. I said, what's she talking about? It turns out Aisha is half my age, and she's an Arab Muslim living in the outskirts of Pakistan.
Wow.
And we're talking back and forth, all these social media. I didn't know that, and it proves to me part of there in my book is different, but we're all the same. And she has helped me.
Yeah.
And I got myself in this journey. Writing a book is a journey of self-discovery, writing it. I'm sure it's helped Aisha some. But I bet others then I went to for help. A couple of other writers and so forth that helped me, or a couple of agents that told me I'll never find an agent. I have to self-publish. That's why it's self-publish on KDP, Amazon KDP, and a team of family members who got me encouraged and inspired.
That's great, because that really just goes to show us that you can find inspiration not just in your community, not just in your family, but even across the world.
Yeah, isn't that
So I love that story.
Aisha has already sent one of these books into Indonesia, and we're going to do a book signing by Zoom. It's Indonesia, and it's going into India and Pakistan. It's a brand new book, and I'm an unknown author.
And honestly, would you even have imagined that it would have made it?
Yeah,
so it's really just getting into that bubble, like you said, really believing in yourself, and letting it happen.
What I believe this would be happen. I mean, it's almost unbelievable, but yeah, that's part of making your dreams come true, is believe in those dreams, and you'll find the path to these dreams. I'm very excited about it.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.